Hi everyone, Aidan here with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install these Glacier Chain twist link snow tire chains on our 2022 Ram 1500. The first thing you want to do with these chains to install them is lay them out and make sure nothing's tangled up. A lot of times the bags they come in, they get jumbled together and the hooks get hooked onto links and it's a big mess. These ones are looking pretty good right now, and the second thing we want to check on is the orientation. For each cross section of chain, we've got a link that joins it up with the main section on the outside of the tire, and that hook-shaped piece, we want that abrasive side face up, away from the tire, smooth side here face down. The other thing is we want our cams to be on the outside of the tire where they're going to be accessible. Once all that's taken care of, we can go ahead and install it on the tire by grabbing it towards the middle and carefully draping it over the top. You can drive over top the tires or over top of the chains and install them that way, but this is the way we often do them. Get it centered up on the tire, front to back, side to side. And once you're fairly happy with where it's at, we can make our first connection around the back. Now on my side, there's going to be a hook, if I can get my glove off of it, right there. And then on your side, there's going to be a series of free links. We don't necessarily have to go to the very end link, but we want to attach these two. I'm going to go for the second link to start out, and we can go around to the front. The reason we want to try this around at home, maybe once or twice in the driveway, is to find that right link. There will be one that gives you a better fit and provides the right amount of tension, and you want to try that out before you're in inclement weather. Around front here, make sure everything is adjusted properly. It's looking like this outer link might be the easiest. We can maybe get it on that second link here, but not quite, not by hand anyway. So you can see with that there is a lot of slack, but that's where those cam tensioners come in. We can take our included tool, slot that into the cams, and turn them to tighten it up. We'll go around the tire chain, repeating that process until we're satisfied with how they're fitting. That one I'm starting to feel a little more tension, but I think this fourth one might be the final one that gives us a strong fit. And it's definitely feeling better. I'm going to go ahead and add a rubber tensioner as well. These don't come in the kit, but we always recommend adding them. If you want to add them as well, you can go ahead, scroll down on the page you're on, and in the related parts section, you'll find the rubber tensioners. And you want to apply these in a star-shaped pattern relatively evenly around the tire chain. These are going to be your extra layer of security, providing a more constant source of tension on the tire chain, and just help keep things working well. I'm going to go right there. That's looking pretty good, and the tire chain is definitely feeling more snug now. You can see it's pulling some slack out on all these ends. At this point, install these on the other side and drive over them a few times. Come out and check on them, make sure that nothing's adjusted or loosened up too much. These chains do have a tendency to settle into the tire as you start to drive. And once you've made your final adjustments, you're good to hit the road. Like we mentioned in the beginning, these are a twist link chain. You can see that link shape on the tire here. It's a little less aggressive, more low profile. It's going to result in a smoother ride quality at the sacrifice of bite. So while these will be good for deep snow, they're not really intended for off-road use or deep ice. Something like that, you want to look into a square link or a V-bar style chain, something that's going to give more grip. It's also going to be a ladder pattern style. So you see we have gaps in the chain where tires exposed that will result in a somewhat bumpier ride, but be better for starts and stops and give you traction in that context. They are a low carbon steel construction, which isn't the most durable thing in the world. You might notice that they start to dent and mush down a bit over time depending on how and where you're using them, just because it is a softer steel. So over time you might need to replace them after a couple of seasons, but that's usually something more for the V-bar style where there's actual pieces of steel sticking up that need to be there to bite in. These ones you might not notice it as much. They do also come with a carrying bag Not my favorite thing in the world, just because it is a pretty poor quality bag. They have a tendency to rip over time, and they're not really water resistant at all. I always recommend a plastic tote just to be a little bit more durable and easier to store them in. And the other thing to consider is the cam tensioner tool. This one's pretty small. A comparable option from Titan Chains comes with a much larger tool, which for me is easier to keep track of and easier to get your hands on and apply that tension to use the cams. So depending on how tight they are on your tire, you might need that larger tool with better leverage. Just something to consider with your options. Overall though, I do think it's a pretty solid chain. It's definitely going to do the job in the deep snow, but if you need something more aggressive, check out the square link or V-bar style options. Or if you need something even less aggressive than this, just for really light snow, maybe check out a cable chain option. Otherwise, that'll do it for our install. Thanks for watching.